I told you I'd be doing this immediately after. So, yes, I don't really know how busy I am going to be today. So, doing this Arc Thoughts absolutely need to be, priority. So, hey, I'm doing 2 videos in the morning. What do you know? So, hello again. Right. So, last time I did this, we had finished the Syrup Village arc, where we introduced Usopp and acquired the Going Merry. And now, with a new month, with the end of the month comes a new Arc Thoughts. Let's talk about the 4th arc in the One Piece story, the Baratie. Now, obviously, the Baratie is the 4th arc, as I just said. It is 27 manga chapters with 12 anime episodes. You could probably binge watch the anime episodes in probably an afternoon. Actually, you could probably read the entire arc in an afternoon too in the manga. But anyway, I'm going off tangent here. And folks, this is the part in the story where One Piece started to get serious, even a little bit dark. Kind of like the transition from, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll get this. It's like going from Prisoner of Azkaban to Goblet of Fire. That's how serious things were getting. Up until this point in the story, things have been a little bit on the lighthearted side. And outside of any, flashbacks, we didn't really get anything that was, again, very dark. But here, things start really picking up in a really good way. Let's see. There's actually quite a lot to talk about. Well, first, the setting. The Baratie is a floating restaurant, which isn't an entirely out there concept. I mean, floating restaurants have existed all over the world, even before One Piece was being written. But in a world of piracy where the vast majority of the One Piece landscape is water, this is actually a really cool idea. Not to mention the design of the Baratie is really cool. And the chefs who work on there are also really quirky in a really cool way. Particularly the head chef, named Zeph, with a very, very, very tall hat. But that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Let's get into one of the main draws to why the Baratie is great, and that is the introduction of Sanji, who will later become the Straw Hat's cook. First of all, his design is awesome. Very suave, very sophisticated. Definitely something that you need in this, band of misfits that we have. Because, it's Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp. But Sanji adds that bit of class. It's awesome. And at this point in the story, he actually has, outside of Luffy, he's actually got the best backstory. I mean, Zoro's and Usopp's were on the short side, and Nami's hadn't really been told yet. So, yeah, this was Sanji had a really good backstory. And a tragic one as well. Well, here's the thing. This is going to be major spoilers, but Oda really did a great job of making Sanji appreciate why he's a cook, and it all has to do with Sanji's backstory, where after an accident, he and Zeph were trapped on an island. Now, depending on what you're watching or reading, if you're watching the anime, then you know that, a bunch of rubble got on Chef Zeph's leg. He had to cut it off in order to save Sanji, and that's what happened. And they were trapped on an island for, 40 plus days or whatever. In the manga, it's actually more gruesome. The whole leg getting caught in the rubble thing, that didn't happen. What happened was, the accident still happened, and they were still trapped on an island, but there was no food, and the only source of water you could get was rainwater. They were trapped on the island for 80 days. Now, Zeph made Sanji believe that there were 2 bags of food between them. Zeph obviously had a bigger bag because, he's a grown man. And Sanji's, a little boy, so you have a little bag. So, Sanji makes all the food last as long as he can. They're still on the island for goodness knows how long. And Sanji appears in front of Zeph sees that Zeph didn't even touch the bag after all that time. The bag didn't have any food in it. The bag had treasure. So what happened? Chef Zeph cut off and ate his leg in order to survive. Yeah. Pretty dark, isn't it? And if you think it gets dark, oh no, it gets even more serious than that in this arc. And that comes from a man named Dracule Mihawk, aka Hawkeye Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman. If that title sounds familiar to you at this point, that's because that's what Zoro wants to be. He wants to be the world's strongest swordsman. This was Zoro's prime opportunity to take him on and win. Now, you would expect there to be some kind of gap between them, right? There is no gap. If there was, it'd be so incredibly long it'd practically go all the way around the world. That's how much stronger Zoro is, how weak Zoro is in comparison to Mihawk. Mihawk absolutely slaughtered him. In a way, kind of like Dragon Ball Z. But, it was at that moment, you got just a tiny glimpse of, the sheer power that the world of One Piece has to offer. And out there in the Grand Line, and later the New World, there are monsters out there, just like Dracule Mihawk. Scary, isn't it? And then and he's not even the primary antagonist of this arc either. Mihawk was really just passing through. The primary antagonist was Don Krieg, who actually had an armada go into the Grand Line, and Mihawk got them all. An armada of 50 plus ships, 1,000 men, and Mihawk beat all of them with just a sword. That's how powerful Mihawk is. And that still doesn't even show off how powerful Mihawk is. I can go on and on, but the point is it's bad. And admittedly, Don Krieg himself, being the primary antagonist, really is nothing compared to Mihawk, obviously, but he was still a threat. He still launched an attack on the Baratie, and, the good guys had to try and stop him. Although, what Don Krieg lacked as a primary antagonist, one of his subordinates, Geen, who is a fan favorite, really made up for it. So, yeah, it's actually Geen was a really interesting character. And he's actually one of the few people who actually defeated Sanji. Yeah, not a lot of people remember that, but he defeated Sanji in that arc. Which is no small feat, even as early as back then. Oh, right. I should get into one of the most popular things about Sanji. And that is, I said earlier that Oda made Sanji appreciate what it means to be a cook or a chef. Well, that goes into Sanji's fighting style. He solely uses kicking his legs, which is very interesting because, a chef uses their hands. You need your hands to cook things. So, in that regard, Sanji fights using only his legs, which leads to a lot of really unique fight scenes. Some that are among the best in the series even now. And you still see a lot of really creative stuff with it. Even in the newer stuff that's come out over the years. So, yeah, Sanji's fighting style is great. And the fight between Luffy and Krieg is actually a sort of metaphor. See, Krieg is under the belief that if you have weapons and ships and people and subordinates and all sorts of gadgets and tricks to help you out. In fact, that's where he got the name Foul Play Krieg. You can win. And then you have Luffy, who's, at first glance, you would just see him as an average Joe. But he's not. He actually proved that hard work and determination can win the day. And it actually leads to probably the best fight in the East Blue Saga. So, yeah, that's really cool. Luffy didn't have any gadgets. He didn't have any weapons. He only had one ship to the Going Merry. He only had one ship, which was the Going Merry. However, there's a problem. I'll get to that momentarily. Luffy didn't really have much. Even his crewmates. And why is that? Because halfway during the arc, Nami, shockingly, betrays us. Betrays the good guys. And takes the Going Merry away. So half the guys gotta go try and stop her. Meanwhile, you have Luffy and Sanji protecting the Baratie. And the rest of the story plays out. Luffy defeats Don Cream, and Sanji ends up becoming the ship's cook. So, yeah. Actually, I'll never forget how the arc and how the Baratie stuff ended. And Sanji says, "Thanks, old geezer. I'll never forget your kindness." I got kind of teary-eyed when I first saw that. So, well, Nick, what about the Going Merry? What did Nami do? Well, folks, that's what the next arc is. Every single arc that we've talked about so far has led up into the arc I'm going to be talking about next month. So look forward to that. Keep you in suspense. But yeah, so the Baratie is a fun arc. You know, the concept is great. The characters are fun. You know, Sanji's awesome. I mean, again, my favorite. I really don't have a favorite character per se, just because I love Luffy, and you know, it's pretty obvious that Luffy is. Well, here's the thing: Luffy is my favorite character, but I can't really think of anyone after. I mean, Jinbei sort of got there, but actually, it's the next arc where Jinbei was slightly mentioned, I believe. Huh. Hold on. 21. Yeah, I think so. Cool. But I'm far too ahead of myself. Point is, the Baratie is a fun arc. The concept's great. You know, it gave us another crew member, which is awesome. And now we get into what's the best arc in the East Blue Saga. And it's not even the last one. Not that the one after the next one is bad. It's just, you know, the one after this next one, the arc I'm going to be talking about in June is more of you know, sort of resolution, sort of exposition type ending sort of thing. Speaking of exposition, the Baratie also introduced Yosuke and Johnny. They're sort of like the every guys of the arc, and really they're just more, you know, background. At this point in the story, they don't really contribute much, but in the next arc, which I'm going to be talking about in May, there's actually a really important scene that they're in. Yosuke and Johnny. So, look forward to that as well. Like, favorite, check out the subscribe button, follow me on social media, starting those kids on YouTube. I'm very home. I made this video for all you guys watching for today. I hope we all have, because it's still morning, it's only Thursday morning I'm doing this, have a wonderful Thursday. Yeah, remember this time. And remember, you guys want to talk to somebody, you're learning, always back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.